I started my business with my brother Joe in 1954. We were painting contractors, and after we started painting for a while, we purchased a small retail store, and we bought our paint wholesale so we could be more competitive in the paint contracting business. And we ran a retail store for quite some years. And then my brother Joe got dissatisfied, and I bought him out. And then a couple of years later, I started custom blending paint on my own for paint contractors. And then after that got lucrative. I got a chemist, and I purchased some material and a 100-gallon tank and a paint mixer, and I started custom blending my own products from raw materials. Made my first batch of paint, and it didn't turn out so good. So then I went back to the chemist, and I had him relate to me what every one of the chemicals that went into the paint and the raw materials that went into the paint and what functions they played in the product. So then on my own, I could offset the paint the way I felt that it should go. And I got different contractors to try the paint, and I got their ideas of what was lacking in the paint, what they didn't like. And this is the way I was able to come up with some better formulas than my competitors actually. So I continued on with that for till 1960, and then I moved to the Cape Center, up to Cape Canaveral, and into Brevard County, because this area was really growing, and I figured if this area is growing leaps and bounds, and I'm in this area with very very little competition, I could sell a lot more paint and do better than to be in the Miami area. After I moved to Cape, I moved to larger manufacturing places, an 8,000 square foot building on Barton Boulevard in Rockledge, Florida, and I stayed there for 8 years on an 8-year lease. And I bought a building. I bought a building down in Rockledge off the Cross Railroad tracks, and it was a 20,000 square foot building at that time. So I moved into much larger facilities. And then I continue on from there, and then I hired salesmen, and I went around the state of Florida selling retail stores my products. And it just grew from there, and then I just started moving north.
What gave you the skills or the knowledge to know what was right and wrong in the paint business?
I was a paint contractor. I knew how the other people's products performed, and so I made my products a little better than theirs. A little better price, a little better product, and a little bit of service. I had to be better than them in order to sell my paint and be competitive. We had a big setback when President Johnson moved the Space Center from Brevard County to Houston. That was a big setback because this county dried up in not only in paint, but it dried up in everything. I survived that by sending salespeople in other areas other than I started out in Orlando and over to the West Coast and down the West Coast to Miami and setting up retail dealers and major contractors. The only way I grew Richards Paint Manufacturing Company was whatever profits that I had, money that I had left over after taking care of my family and paying my expenses at the store, I put back into the business to buy more product and so I could sell more paint. We do a lot of things for the dealers that other people don't do. We hold breakfasts for the dealers, so they bring in all our paint contractors and have a painter breakfast, and this is the way we get to know the paint contractors ourselves. And this is the way we get to know their problems and what problems they have on the job, stuff like that. And then we try to build better products for the dealer than the products he's been using for other companies.
Also, the dealers, we had a sailboat in the 70s, and we loved the Bahamas, so we would talk to dealers, and we would sometimes take them to the Bahamas or just fishing down on the Keys. And they all enjoyed that. They still talk about it when we see them at paint conventions, how much they enjoyed it. So
we not only entertain customers on my boats, we entertain many employees. In fact, one year I took all my employees in 2 different trips from Miami to Bimini. I'm the first one to realize that without good employees, you're not in business. You're going to go out of business. All of our employees that work for us are like family. It's like one big family at Richards.
We have some that have worked for us 40 years, and they're still with us.
Yeah.
So you take our sons. Eric is the president of the corporation, and the other son is in charge of production. They started out sweeping floors, unloading boxcars when they were teenagers over the summer.
My two sons were very, very important in building Richards Paint Manufacturing Company, because they're the ones that did the job outside the office. They're the ones that took the hard knocks out in the manufacturing, and also when they went from one job to another and grew and became now owners of Richards Paint Manufacturing Company. But I didn't give it to them; they earned it.
So this is my 38th year. I have a brother that's in the business. He's his name's Edward J. Richard Jr., and this is his 39th year. He's doing the manufacturing, VP of manufacturing. He handles everything behind the front offices and purchases raw materials and shipping. But the main thing that Richards Paint Company has been successful through the years was you do what you say you're going to do. You do it when you say you're going to do it. You be honest, you have high integrity, and you keep pushing on. And that's really what we did. My father and mother taught me the integrity part of it. Honesty, integrity, good family values, treat people the way you want to be treated. 10 years ago, we became a supplier to a buying group that's called All Pro Buying Group. It's 1,100 paint stores throughout the United States, and they're all the cream of the crop paint stores. We just got approved as a supplier to True Value Hardware. And I've always been able to turn to my father as a mentor and my mother as mentors to, I had their guidance to fall back. And thank God we still have them today.